This is Brian from Logs to Lumber, and today I'm going to show you how you can build an adjustable height workbench, which I particularly use for carving, that you can build inexpensively. And the best thing is it's an adjustable height. It also tilts from flat to 90 degrees. Most of us that do wood carving get real tired of working with a static bench that's low and you're bent over and you have to keep moving your body or keep moving the piece to work on a carving. I come from an engineering background, so I'm familiar with these very expensive, in their day, electric lift drafting tables that are very heavily built and you can pick up really cheap on Craigslist. I bought 4 or 5 of these for under $100 a piece, and I'll show you the drafting table and I'll show you the adjustability of this bench. This bench goes with a 3-inch top from the lowest position of 30 inches, and these drafting tables have a foot switch down here that lowers and raises it. So this is about 30 inches, and all you can do is just hit that switch and these go all the way up to 50 inches high, which I'm demonstrating right now. Of course, I don't know anybody that would use it this high, so I'm going to lower it a little bit. All these drafting tables have a hand lever brake on the right side that you use to lock it in whatever position you want, which I'll demonstrate here. I grab the lever, I turn it, and the top will lock in at this position. What's nice about this, and what I've used this for, is I can brace my body against this top, have my piece clamped, and get right in and do my carving, and saves on my back. And if I want to readjust it, I just hit the switch and lower it or raise it up like this. For storage, these work great because you can adjust this thing into a vertical position. The longer your skirt board, the wider your top will vary how vertical this will go. Mine's probably about 15 degrees off vertical. So this thing doesn't take up a lot of space if you want to store it, and you can slide it up close against the wall. I've attached a double vise on the end of this with about a 5-degree taper to the jaws, full width for clamping pieces this way, and I've got 2 sets of holes for bench dogs. And now I'm going to show you the back of this and what this looks like from behind, and I'm going to show you a standard drafting table so you know what to look for on the internet. Here you can see the back of the carving table. That's the base. I've got it extended about halfway up. That center pedestal is about 8 inches square. It's got an electric actuating jack on the inside, a screw jack. These are Hamilton drafting tables. Back in the day, these things were $2,500 plus, and you can pick them up. I've never paid more than $100 for one of these. I'll show you what a drafting table looks like with the original top in a second. You can see the 2 angle supports that go underneath the existing drafting table that have holes that you can just pre-drill in your top and attach this. So you can see some of the screws I've got in there. The adjusting mechanism is a lever, which I'm showing right there, that you move from left to right to tighten up the brake, and you can see that there's a bunch of brake pads just in there that creates tension that keeps the top in one position. And these things are fairly robust. You can see my twin screw vise that I've mounted. You want to make sure that you have a deep enough skirt board so that your screws, if you do mount a dual vise on the end, that your screws don't hit those angles. You're not going to want to have to cut those angles. So, you know, I've got about a 7-inch deep vise, as you can see, and it basically missed it by about an inch. Now, this is what, and I've got it sitting here in the corner. This is a standard Hamilton drafting table, and you can see the two arms right there. And when you buy one of these things, you are going to want to unscrew the top. You're going to need somebody to help you move this. These things weigh probably 250 pounds. So when you're all done and you put a top on there that weighs 200 pounds, you've got a 400-pound bench. And it's easiest to remove the top, and then you basically can use that for something else, or actually, you know, you could probably use that for a workbench. These also work great for outfeed benches, which I'll show you in a second out in the shop. I've got two of them out there, one at my table saw and one at my planer. These do come in different tabletop sizes. I've got a smaller one on the outfeed of my 24-inch planer. Here's the table in its lowest position. I'm going to leave it tilted up so you can see the back of it. I'm just going to hit the switch here and you get kind of an idea of what these things are like on the back side. I've done quite a bit of carving. What's great about these is if you leave a work area all the way around, I've done carving where I've left this at an angle like this, put something upside down on here that's angled, and I can come around right here and I can support my upper body while I'm standing and do my carving, and then raise it and lower it an inch here or there, and you'd be surprised once you have the ability with a cheap table like this to raise it and lower it at will without having to go to one end or do any bolting or unbolting or adjusting. It's just instantaneous. You find yourself adjusting this thing maybe about every 15 to 20 minutes. When it's in its flat position, I haven't looked at a way to lock it in this position in case you don't think you'd ever want to tilt it. If I push about as hard as I can just about hang on this thing and it just will tilt down. So it's not 100% what I call like an indexing head, where once you lock it there's no way it'll move. I mean, the heaviest wood piece I've ever carved on here probably weighed about 60 pounds, and I can rest my body against this and carve, and this thing is fairly stable. You know, and you can spend a lot more money on some other kind of scissor lift table that, to me, might be warranted if you feel that you need something like that. But you, like I said, you can pick these drafting tables up for typically under $100, and take the top off and put your own top on and go to town. Here you can see I've got a smaller topped Hamilton electric adjustable height drafting table. I've got it set flat. I'm using this one as the outfeed on my planer. My theory is, you know, these planers, as you adjust these things up and down, you know, you kind of want to keep this fairly close. What works great about these is, you know, you can just instantly tweak this thing up and down as an outfeed table. I've got another one over on that side of the shop. That's the same size as what I showed you down there, where I got my carving table, a bigger top, and I'm using that as an outfeed on my table saw. And I can set it exactly at the same height. Here's my bandsaw right here. I can set it right to the same height as that when I'm using my bandsaw. So these things are great. I think I paid $65 for this one. Just do a search on Craigslist, or for somebody local that might be selling one of these. Whenever I look, I always find 2 or 3 of them. And just do a search for electric drafting table or Hamilton drafting table, but a lot of people won't put the Hamilton in there. they'll just put either adjustable drafting table or electric drafting table. And sometimes people want $200–300 for these. You know, again, depending on how much you use it, that might be worth it, but I basically just offered them $75, and I don't think I've ever paid more than $75 for one of these. And what's cool is a lot of times you'll get one of those older style drafting arms. I got a couple of those on a couple of these tables, and you know, not many people use them anymore, but they're still kind of a nice thing to have. You could actually just turn one of these into an instant drafting table just by, you know, adjusting it up if you want to do some sketching like this. This is Brian for Logs to Lumber. Thanks for watching, and check out my website at logs-to-lumber.com. You'll see it along the bottom here, and you can check out my Facebook page, which shows my latest slabs that I've been cutting. So take it easy.